Team Soloist. Welcome back to another vlog. And if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome in. My name is Lo, and today we have something very special. I have my daughter Armani here, and we're going to do just a little Q&A for people that might be considering being an expat over in the Czech Republic in Prague. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. I have my notes right here, the questions that I'm going to ask her. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So Armani, the first question is, what inspired you to move to Prague?
I love that. The Czech Republic is in Europe, but it's not in Western Europe, so it's something different. I also came over here to be a teacher, and that's what inspired me to move to Prague.
Okay. So did you always know you wanted to live abroad, or did the opportunity just present itself?
No, I've always knew I was going to move abroad. Well, I lived abroad most of my life anyway, because my parents were.
When I was looking at videos about moving abroad, the most important thing that people were asking was about the visa process. So can you go ahead and talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So like I said, I went through the language house. It's a TEFL program. So I went through the route of freelance. It's called Jivno visa. And with that, I came in, I did this program. It was 2 to 3 weeks. You pass a grammar test. They give you the certificate. And then you schedule your appointment. The first interview is in Dresden. You need to have your clearance from the police, showing that you didn't have any police, like a record, like a criminal record. You needed to have your apartment already, at least a year-long lease. It's better if they have it as indefinite, but they will also take it if it's at least a year. And it had to have your name on it, showing that you were the one that was paying the rent and your utilities. I also put in, because mine was in education is what I wanted to do, so to strengthen it, to make sure I was approved, I also had my bachelor's of science in early childhood education and leadership. And so the first interview I went in, they asked you questions about how are you going to support yourself here? What do you know already about the Czech Republic? Do you know anybody here? So you answer it as truthfully as you can. And then I waited a couple, I think 3 months is when I got the approval, and then I go back to Dresden to pick up the visa.
Dresden,
Germany.
In Germany.
In Germany, okay. Yes. Oh, and you also need a bank statement showing proof that you can take care. So you're not allowed to work while you're in the process of getting this visa. So you have to have a statement. For the U.S., it was 10,000 USD in your bank account to show that that's what you're going to live off of until you're approved. So then you can go and get a job.
Oh, okay. So they require you to show proof that you have at least $10,000 in your checking or savings account to show that you can sustain your living while you are in the TEFL program. Oh, okay. And then so another question that a lot of people ask, is it easy to bring your pet? And so I know that you brought your pet, Teddy Bear. And so can you talk about that? Was that difficult to get Teddy Bear on his passport? Dolls, he has a passport. Yeah, a European passport. So was that difficult to do?
So I wouldn't say it's difficult. It was just tedious, and you have to make sure you follow directions. They have a website through the U.S. I think it's through their embassy website or travel. I'm sure Mom will link it down below. But they'll have a listing of everything you need for a teddy bear. For a dog, he needed to be up to date on all of his shots and have them recorded. He needed a European chip because they use extra numbers that the US doesn't. So even if they're already microchipped, you need a European one. And then I also need to get a health certificate. And not all vets do this health certificate, so you have to call around and see if they'll allow it. And it has to be timed properly. So I couldn't get the health certificate until I get one of his shots, at least within a week. And then after the health certificate, I couldn't apply for him to get the passport until that was there for at least a month. So they're cutting it really close. So you have to make sure you have all of your appointments lined up ahead of time. And then I brought him in the cabin with me. So I always, just to be on the safe side, get the cabin, if you're going to have a small enough dog that's going to be with you, is carrier from the airline that you're flying. Most of them will sell it either online or in their stores near where the airlines are, where you can like check in.
Mhm.
So I just bought it straight because I flew through Lufthansa.
Okay. So you made sure you had a Lufthansa approved pet carrier because you didn't want any surprises when you got to the gate. Okay. So was that costly?
Teddy bear was almost 4,000 USD to bring.
Y'all hear that, dolls? Almost 4,000 USD to bring her emotional support animal. Which, I mean, there are dog moms, dog parents out there, and their dogs are their babies. So, you wouldn't leave your child back in the US while you came abroad.
I love the work-life balance here, especially as an educator. I feel like where I came from, there were some days just to get stuff done, you had to stay late. So like, and this, if you were salary, which I was salary even then, it's not paid. It's just expected in order for you to complete your role. And I kind of push for that. Like, if you're not staying late, then you must not give it 100%. Whereas here, they're very pushing of like, we end at 3, we close, so that's it. We get like an hour to clean up, and whatever we don't do, they're like, oh, we just do it in the morning. Like it's okay. They're like, work day's over. Like it's time to go have pivo and walk in the beer garden or go hike.
Or spend time with family.
Yeah, family, spend time with family. But yeah, there are a lot of like, especially my co-teachers that are Czech, or like even some that are not Czech but just European, like Eastern and Central European. They're like, why would I stay late? Even the idea of coming in on the weekends. We don't have events on the weekends. We try to tie them into work like Monday through Friday. In the US, I noticed that we always had things on the week, like a Saturday. So then the teachers were expected to come in again. But here that doesn't happen because even the parents themselves will go, why would I come on the weekend? Weekend is off. I'm
Right.
not doing that.
Right. And you're not taking work home
Yeah.
and things of that nature. Like work stops when you walk out of the door, the work stays behind. You don't bring it home. You go home, you get a good night's sleep, you spend time with your family, or you do the things that you do in life, and then you wake up in the morning, you come back to work. And so I know when you first started in early childhood education, you would schedule mental health days because of the rigors of, um, going to work, taking work home, staying late, teacher work days, and things of that nature. So what about now? Are you taking those mental health days?
No. For the first time in like so long, I ended the school year and I had an abundance of leave left because I didn't need to use them. We also have many holidays, and they're not like conveniently on the weekend. Like I noticed, like in the US, or like on a Friday or whatever. We have so many holidays. They run it like a traditional school, so I get the summers off paid. I have winter holiday. I have Easter holiday off, and then a couple of like weeks off because of Czech holidays, like Czech only holidays. That's nice.
Okay. So if there is anyone that is inspiring to be an educator, you might want to look into coming over to Prague. And so thanks for that. I appreciate that. So next we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about your lifestyle and personal growth here in Prague. Now, another pressing question that I often see when I was looking up expat videos is, how is it being a Black American female expat over in whatever country, XYZ? So I'm going to ask, how is it being a Black female in Prague as an expat?
I haven't noticed any differences. It's just my experience. So I'm sure when you look up, you might see differ, and that's fine. Just know that from my experience, and I work and live in Prague, I've also worked outside of Prague, and I have not noticed anything. I've even went to like small villages, like hours outside of Ostrova, so in the middle of nowhere, and I have not experienced any like negativity. Occasionally, sometimes they stare, but it's usually like really old people. But I also notice they stare at everybody. But no one's ever, I never experienced any microaggression, not followed in stores, nothing of that nature. There are Black people here, but they're not necessarily like always going to be Black American. We have people from Trinidad, Eastern Africa, and they're just people that are Black, like Black French, Black Spanish, Black British.
So just because you see a black or brown person, don't assume that, they're US.
Most likely not US.
They're most likely not US.
Yeah.
Okay. So how has living abroad changed you personally?
I enjoy living abroad because I get to experience a wide range of just people, different walks of life. Because even though I'm here in the Czech Republic, I can't even assume that every person I run into will be Czech. So, like, just recently, mom and I were out, and I was talking to a man who was from Estonia, and he was telling me about him and his brother and his son. And it's just like they have a completely different like story to tell when they migrated here or like are expats here. It's different from mine. Their process is different from mine. It's just I like the exchange of storytelling and information and just people being people in this melting pot.
Yeah.
There are more melting pots besides US is one as well, but I realize that there are so many other countries that are also melting pots, maybe in a different way. Like maybe you'll be on a tram and you'll look around and go, oh, everybody is white and I'm not. What you don't realize is like maybe the family across from you is Polish, the one in the end is from Latvia, the one behind you is from Romania. Like there's still a vast difference of cultures and walks of lives and beliefs just because they have the same skin color.
Okay. Do you see yourself staying in Prague long term, or do you think you will venture out and go live in another country one day?
Definitely live in another country. I love it here, but I also love to travel and move. I always say that the world is my address, my permanent address. It's the world in general. I was just recently came back from Japan, and I used to live there when I was younger, but I would love to move back there again.
Okay. Well, when you go to Japan, we'll have to come over there and do a Q&A,
Another one.
another Q&A. And so we're going to go ahead and wrap up this Q&A.
But in my school, I noticed that I have some children that only speak Czech. And so, for example, I have a little girl that she was like, oh, in the dressing area. And every time she'll put something on, go, hezky, oh, hezky. And so I asked my teacher, she's like, oh, it's like pretty, like beautiful. So then when I saw another parent that I knew was Czech, when she was introducing herself, I like pointed and I was like, oh, it's hezky, her shirt. And she was like, oh, hezky, yeah. She's like, oh, dobry, which is good. Yeah, yeah. And I think it does make their day when it's like, you don't know just the stereotypical words. And they expect a lot of teachers here don't bother, especially if their job is to teach English. They don't really bother to learn the language. They're like, oh, it's hard. I live in Prague. Everybody speaks English, so I won't bother. But they do appreciate when you do show initiative in that way.
So you just said something that was really important. You said, I live in Prague. Everyone speaks English. So do you feel like English is more predominantly used here in Prague?
No, I hear them speaking their own language. What I mean by that is like it's a major city, but most people you run into here in the major city of Prague will speak English.
Okay.
There are some countries like when I just came from Tokyo, they don't. It doesn't matter. You could be in Shibuya Station, they will not know English.
Okay. Okay. So English isn't really a universal language over there. They speak their language.
But they're also, I think this goes back to like the influence of like English speaking countries. We have a lot of pop culture, like media, whether it's movies, television, music. And so I think a lot of the Czech people or Europeans in general still consume that. Whereas like some countries such as Japan, they have their own that's very, very dominant and very popular of itself. So they don't really need to listen to our music or watch our TV shows. They have their own version of everything that we have.
Okay. So. Interesting. So one other hot topic that often comes up is the living arrangements. How expensive or inexpensive is it to rent an apartment in Prague? So you see these videos and it says, for 600 US dollars, I get this. And it, might be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath penthouse. Is that the case here in Prague? What's more realistic here in Prague for, say, someone that wants to come over and do the language program and become a teacher and looking for a place?
I will say the prices are rising, but it's still a lot cheaper. For example, I have a roommate, so we both pay 16K each of Czech crowns. And that's including the utilities and everything. That's just a flat fee.
So when you say 16K Czech crowns, can you kind of convert that to US? Oh, you'll need your, okay, we can wait. We can wait. Because that's important, dolls, right? Like, I mean, I know you guys can look it up too, 16. And then it also, does it vary like with the dollar or no? As to how much you get paid? Because do you get paid in US or you get paid in Czech?
I get paid in Czech.
Okay, you get paid in Czech crown. So she is paying $764.75 a piece, correct? Because you have a roommate. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up, the vlog for the Q&A. And so one final question is, what advice would you give someone considering moving abroad, in particular here in Prague?
I would say definitely do your research. I've done my research, but also keep an open mind because I feel like sometimes, and I guess I'll say especially as like Americans, we sometimes will look at somebody else's experiences, and if it has some negativity in it, then we go, "Oh, it's not for me." They look at one negative. And if you're not that person, I still say to still keep an open mind because sometimes you have the opposite where like maybe you hear only positive and then maybe you don't have a particularly super positive introduction to the country and then you're like it's like a surprise to you. I wouldn't like glaze a country, but I also wouldn't shame a country. I don't think there's such thing as like a really bad country. It's just whatever culture and atmosphere fits you. For some people, like I love Japan, for some people they didn't like it because their culture didn't align with them, and that's fine. Japan's not a bad country. It's just a different country than what they're used to and too different for them for their comfort. I would keep all that in mind and just be really realistic.
Be realistic, open mind. Don't come over with your Western views because what happens in one country might not happen in another country. Okay, well, that's some really good advice. Thank you so much, Armani.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for spending time with me and doing this Q&A. So, dolls, if you're interested in moving abroad to Prague, I hope that this video helped you out. I hope I answered some questions. If you have any further questions, leave those in the comment section below and I will shoot them right over to Miss Armani and she will see if she can answer those and we'll get back with you. So, dolls, thanks for hanging out with us. And as always, keep living your best life. Bye for now.